Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Amiga CD32 and some of the upgrade options that are available for it. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Amiga CD32. I always thought it was a bit of a underpowered system, but hey ho, it's still going all these years later. So as long as you keep the capacitors in reasonable condition on these things, i.e. change them completely. There are two power caps as well on the motherboard that need the orientation changing, as they were fitted incorrectly in the factory. I think the silk screen was wrong by Commodore. But anyway, as long as the caps are good and the lasers are clean, you should have a good working system. They do suffer from dying lasers, and sometimes the ports need tweaking to make the things read discs, but apart from that they seem to work okay. That and the controllers are pretty awful, but apart from that they work okay. Oh, and the disc gets scratched that stop working. But anyway, so you've got a CD32 and you want to do something else with it. You want to give it some more power. What do? Well, there are a few options now, and if you go along to Araranet, you can buy a few little add-ons for the Amiga CD32. One of them is the Hephaestus riser, which is this thing. It plugs into the rear expansion port, like the what was the option that was available? The FMV cartridge from Commodore. That was the only thing, I believe. They had the SX1 and SX2, but the only thing that came actually from Commodore was the FMV module. But this thing fits in the back of the CD32 like so. And it gives you a few extra options. It costs 45 euros from Arananet. They sort of come and go quite quickly out of stock, so you'll have to keep an eye on them. But it's a new version of the riser that goes on back of the CD32. Provides VGA for a 15 kHz monitor. It gives you a PS2 PC keyboard and a 3.5mm audio out, which is there, obviously. Monitor and PS2. I think the PS2 controller must be there, and that must be something for the VGA. Quite simple, very neatly done, very well made, very well made actually. This is the Hephaestus CD32 expansion Lite version 4. Now I think this was reverse engineered from the CD32s that were on Wall Street. The banking sector in the States. Quite why they had CD32s I don't know, but the science, not the Science Museum, the whatever it was. Anyway, we had them in London as well, and they were used for training purposes in London back in the olden days. Anyway, so that is a riser. And what is a riser for? Well, a riser moves the expansion port higher to work internally. So you could, for example, connect a CD32 to a 1200 adapter, which actually goes that way. So that plugs into there. It's got a clock port. I'm not sure what the jumper's for, to be honest. I don't actually know what the jumper's for. But yeah, so you've got a CD32 to a 1200 adapter. So that means that potentially any Amiga 1200 expansion can work on a CD32. Insert brackets, question mark. So you could have a PowerPC, you could have 68040, 68060, so on and so forth. Now there are a few issues. See these guides here? They are for sliding in the FMV or whatever expansions were available at the time. Now, as Commodore collapsed, there weren't any expansions at the time. But if we connect the riser, now what you should do is buy a Terrible Fire 68030 with the IDE controller, and that is a circuit board that follows the same plane as that, goes in there, and works just fine and dandy. Now if you want to be a clever dick and experiment, You can connect that, which desperately wants to short out on the tin. You have to have the tin on a CD32 because the interference between the motherboard and the CD drive is so bad that it will stop the machine working if the tin isn't there. So you've connected that in and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to connect myself a power PC. Well, you're not, because whatever expansion you try to plug in doesn't fit very well. So you're going to have to do a little bit of either tin work or a little bit of jiggery pokery. This is an Amiga, there we go, Amiga 8 meg expansion from Amiga kit with the clock module, FPU, is that FPU? Yeah, FPU, and various jumpers for RAM settings. Now you can, if you sort of angle this, you can get that in there. If you pack it up, you can get it to fit without shorting out and blowing up the board. But it's a little bit dodgy. So I suspect what I might do at some point is change the tin. I can make new tin, sort of, at work. I can do all kinds of things. But I'll have to look at that another day. What I really should do is get myself a Terrible Fire expansion in there, which has IDE, and not bother trying to fit a 1200 parts. But where's the fun in that? So this is just a little word of warning. If you're buying these expansions thinking you can fit a Power PC or whatever an Apollo or a Blizzard in there, then be prepared for a shock, because once the case top is on here, the CD player is about there, you've got a very narrow window and a very narrow slot in there to fit any expansion at all, so you might be disappointed. I dare say a small Blizzard or a small Apollo 1240, 1260 might fit in there. A Power PC, I would say, more than likely won't, but I'll probably try. But anyway, I have tried this. I have messed about with the tin, powered it up with all the expansions on it. It does work. You will need a good power pack if you're loading the CD32. So if you've got the original Commodore one or some other flaky power pack, then expect troubles, because it probably won't work. Another thing is, when you lift the top up, the ribbon is so tight on here that it wants to tear out of the connector. It's another superb Commodore feature. But that's about it, really. I just thought I'd show you these really rather well made printed circuit boards by Arananet. And if you want to buy any, I'd recommend buying them from them. He's a nice chap. The postage is very good, very fast, very well designed, very well made. They do go in and out of stock rather quickly, so if you want them, get online and buy them quickly. So that's it from me for now. I will show this up and running in the next, I don't know, week or two when I get time. I may have to chop the tin about to get some sort of fancy expansion in there, but we'll give it a go. What I'll probably end up doing is get a TF, what is it, it's not 630, whatever it is. Whatever it does for a CD32 with the IDE and has some RAM on it and things. That's the more sensible expansion to have. And then you can do away with this as well. But part of the fun is seeing what 1200 parts I can fit on a CD32. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a very pleasant weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.